What have you seen from like agents, title companies, contractors, like other third-party people?
Yeah, I'll get random messages like, "Hey, I saw your commercial." It's actually helped surprisingly on the buyer side. So when we dispo properties, we have a lot of people that see our commercials. Every buyer, and I know you, Tony, because you bought a lot and sold a lot of properties as well. We've all bought from a wholesaler or attempted to buy from a wholesaler and had a bad experience. Maybe they didn't have it under contract. Maybe the seller wasn't totally on board or they didn't deposit earnest money. Maybe they had some verbiage in their contract that didn't make sense and it made the deal confusing or the deal completely fell out altogether. And so with buyers, we also get people saying, "Hey, I saw your commercial. I want to be added to your buyers list." And it gives you authority on that side too. Because, for example, we used to ask for $5,000 non-refundable earnest money from our buyers when we're wholesaling or dispoing a deal. Now we upped that to $10,000 non-refundable earnest money. And we can ask for, "Hey, make sure you get that in by noon tomorrow" in our assignment agreement. It just gives you more leverage and more authority because you're that trusted source. It's not just on the sales side that it helps, it's also on the dispo side.
So now a third point you brought up that I don't know that I've heard from anybody else, in the fact that usually when people say investors respect us more, they're saying investors are bringing us more deals or giving us the first shot. But when you dispo deals, for them to respect you more and probably take your pricing more credible, your repair estimates, if you give repair estimates, basically anything you tell them, they're probably going to believe you a little bit more compared to a wholesaler that they don't know, that is not on TV and not,
Yep.
spending that kind of money. Interesting. I like that.
Yeah.
Actually, speaking of money, so a lot of people think you don't have to mention what your ad spend is, but can you compare it to other, I guess, other lead sources? Some people will be like, oh, well, TV, I bet it's really expensive. And really, it's usually not as expensive as they would think. And then, yeah, there's just, I guess that's one of the reasons that there's not as many people on TV is because they think it's really expensive. But when they compare it to other lead channels, usually it's not that much different. I don't know what you have to say on that. How do you feel like the ad spend is compared to, other lead sources?
Yeah, it definitely is on the more expensive end, but for us, it's actually our third most expensive channel. So we spend more on PPC and more in mail now. We just started mail about a month ago. We had tried it 3 years ago and just not at the same volume and finally decided, hey, let's start it again. But we spend more in mail and in PPC now than we do in TV. So it's not something that's breaking the bank for us. And yeah, if it's your third highest marketing budget per month, but it's also the least amount of leads to get a contract, that's a pretty winning combination.
I'm guessing you're branding your direct mail with your TV?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. All of everything says as seen on TV. It has our, Google review rating. It's all about kind of the trifecta, PPC, direct mail, TV. All of these channels working together gives you that lift that a lot of times it's hard to measure. I'm really proud that we were able to capture like before and after TV because and just in talking with other people, I just had no idea. It's one of the harder things, like you can't really measure. I know some people are like, well, when I get a PPC form and it says they saw our TV commercial, how much do I attribute the ROI to PPC versus TV? And everybody has a differing view on that. But at the end of the day, like you're making more money. So let's just leave it at that. Like it is absolutely complementing that. And although it's difficult to measure and quantify, yeah, I think it's a no-brainer. Now, what I will tell you, Tony, is we did try TV a couple years ago, 3 years ago in 2022. And I wouldn't say we had a bad experience, but the reason that we weren't successful, I don't think it really had anything to do with the channel necessarily, but our sales team just wasn't ready for it. We just didn't have the caliber of people, the caliber of onboarding and training that we do now. And I think you have to really have at least one really solid closer and you'll make a ton of money from it. So whether that's you because you're a solopreneur and you're going on the appointments, or whether it's a really good salesperson, you at least have to have that one top closer. And we didn't at that time. And I think that was a lot of the reason why it just didn't work for us like we wanted it to.
So, wrapping up here, a couple more questions. Someone is looking to do TV because we've had a lot of people reach out for TV and they're skeptical, which I understand. Looking back at, I guess, when you thought about TV and just talking to any other investor that was in where you were before when you were thinking about TV, what would you tell an investor that's thinking about TV, that's already a real estate investor, that's already closing deals, that's already spending money on marketing? What would your advice be for them?
I would say if you look at the top real estate companies around the country that are direct to seller, they all do TV and they all have gigantic budgets with TV. So that's first and foremost is the companies that are making the most amount of money and are the most successful are doing it. So there's a reason why. Secondly, I would say, what is your cash position? Because if you think that any channel that you add or bring on is going to produce results within a month or two, you are not setting yourself up for success and you might not be ready for it. Now, I think 6 months is really a minimum. I would love it to be able to measure a channel in a year, right? And so that might mean you need to budget 3 to 6 months of cash reserves to be able to pay for that channel before you start seeing a positive ROI. So marketing, just like employees or anything else in your business, is an investment. Just make sure you have the cash flow for it. And then third, you said this before, but every marketing channel works. If you think that you're a special snowflake and something doesn't work in your market, show me the data. And number three, lastly, like the problem isn't the marketing channel, it's you. If it works for other people, the problem is you. And so you just need to figure out what that is, fix that, and then now you're ready for it. So I wouldn't get down on yourself like, hey, I'm way far behind in measuring myself against these top companies. This is all a part of business, right? You go through growing pains, you go through failures, you take a step back to take two forward. It absolutely works. The best people do it for a reason.
Want to get motivated sellers that nobody knows about? Introducing 10x TV. If you want to create credibility in your market, find deals that nobody else knows about, and crush your competition, you need to check into TV commercials. It is the new buzz in the real estate investing industry since we introduced it several years ago. I've been using TV commercials myself for the last 12 years and it's absolutely crushed it. So if you want to learn how to get on TV and to do something that little to no people are doing right now, go to claimmymarket.com. Again, that's claimmymarket.com. We usually only work with 2 investors per market, so if you're interested, reach out to us and book a call to see if you can claim your market before anybody else does.